Hello and welcome back to the channel. So I have a very interesting yet disturbing story that was shared with me, and we have to pay attention to these things whether we want to or not, especially when we know certain things have been prophesied. I think sometimes we think if we get distracted by the cares of this life and by what they're telling us on the news, that some of this real stuff, this very real stuff, is just going to vanish away. Whenever something is being talked about or shared with us that deals with the climate or what's happening in the world as far as natural situations or natural disasters, we have to pay very close attention to those things and actively see how they line up with Scripture. What does the Bible say about these things? Now we know that in the end times or the latter days, the Scripture talks about how the sun was going to scorch the earth and scorch people, right? So we are seeing things that are actually proving that. Last year, we saw one of the worst droughts in my lifetime for sure. Okay, it was something that was taking place all over the world. All over this country, we were seeing evidence that this drought had really taken a hold or taken its toll on a lot of things, right? Anyway, I'm going to get into this story right here. It says the sun could reach its solar maximum by the end of 2023. So let's get into this. It says the sun's activity could peak 2 years earlier than expected, experts say. An increase in solar activity could disrupt communications, damage power infrastructure, and affect satellite operations on Earth. Do y'all know? Do you know? Listening to all of that, do you know exactly what could be affected by that? That's no small potatoes. Anyway, let's get into this. It says the sun could potentially reach solar maximum, a peak in the solar cycle that could cause major problems for those of us on Earth by the end of the year. Talking about 2023, y'all. According to a report from Live Science, roughly every 11 years, the sun's magnetic field gets tangled up until it results in a massive reversal of its north and south poles. During this period of increased solar activity, more sunspots appear on the surface of the sun, prompting more solar flares and storms that could potentially disrupt communications, damage power infrastructure, and affect satellite operations on Earth. It says the current cycle, referred to as Solar Cycle 25, officially began in December of 2019, according to NASA. Does that date sound familiar to anyone? Y'all remember C-19 when it seemed like a whole lot of stuff started unfolding on the earth, right? Something was unleashed on the earth that has caused a lot of people to leave here. Anyway, it says, according to NASA, at the time, scientists predicted the current solar cycle would hit its climax in 2025 with a peak of roughly 115 sunspots. However, recent observations of sunspots and solar phenomena indicate it may reach this apex sooner and be more potent than originally anticipated. It's going to peak earlier and is going to peak higher than expected. Alex James, a solar physicist at the University of College London, told Live Science. By monitoring the number and the frequency of sunspots, scientists are able to track the solar cycle and its progress towards its maximum activity. Sunspots appear when strong magnetic fields poke through the surface of the sun. Okay, by looking at the sunspots, we can get an idea of how strong the complex the sun's magnetic field is at the moment. Okay, so again, when you know that something has been prophesied, especially concerning the sun and what it's going to do to the earth and the people of the earth, this is the kind of news that you pay attention to, right? And so I'm going to finish reading the article, and then I'm going to just, speak a little bit more on this so that from a biblical standpoint, we can understand what it is we must be doing. Okay. This has nothing to do with fear mongering for those who take this kind of news as such. Right. So anyway, back to the article. It says in January, scientists observed more than 140 sunspots when no more than 63 were predicted. According to Live Science, overall, the number of observed sunspots has exceeded the predicted number for 24 months in a row. Solar flares have also grown more frequent and more powerful. On March 24th, a stealth coronal mass ejection hit Earth without warning, creating a historic and powerful geomagnetic storm that made vast auroras visible in more than 30 U.S. states. Other rare solar phenomena, including an enormous vortex swirling around the sun's north pole, a plasma waterfall, a solar tornado that raged for 3 days, have become more commonplace, also pointing to a solar maximum soon approaching, according to Live Science. Some scientists have proposed using solar terminators, which occur at the end of each solar maximum after the sun's magnetic field has already flipped, to provide more accurate predictions for future solar cycles. So, I know that's a lot of information that a lot of people can't unravel. This is why I keep referring back to the scripture. They're telling you that the sun is flipping out, okay? The Bible tells us the sun is going to be doing some damage to the earth and to the people of the earth, right? How does that affect us? Well, when you look at some of the things that have already been affected by the sun, there's going to be an increase in wildfires, of course, because the earth is going to be hot. When the earth is hot, the land dries, and it creates a better environment for wildfires, right? Not only that, they're talking about communications being interrupted, satellites not working. So how do we get our ability to communicate with one another? Satellites, the internet, all of this stuff is basically going to be under some type of threat, according to what they are saying. And so this strong dependency that we have developed on the infrastructure that has been put together over the past few decades, what's going to happen when all of this stuff shuts down? What's going to happen when the satellites are interrupted and no longer work, and phones don't work, internet doesn't work, and other things that depend on this? What happens when all of that doesn't work? Some of you may remember the series Revolution. Sometimes they will give you these real time or these realistic end times scenarios in the form of shows or whatever. And this show, Revolution, was basically showing you what it would be like, what the world would be like, what the country would be like if the power grid fell. If it was completely finished, done with. If it failed, what would the world be like? What would your neighborhoods be like? Would they even exist? Would the government still be in operation? That particular show, they actually showed that the government shut down and that there were civil wars from state to state, that militant groups were basically getting cities and making regional portions of, they basically divided up the country, and they were warring against each other, the North against the South, East against the West. They were taking territories, claiming territories, and just all kinds of things was happening, and the government was no longer in operation. That's what the show was portraying as a result of a power grid failure, right? And for those of you who say, well, that's just a show, that's just the movies. Many times they will show you what they are planning through a movie. We've seen that happen too many times, right? And so This is not the first time we've heard anything about something dealing with the solar and grid failures and infrastructure going down. This isn't the first time. So, of course, this is just giving us more reason to pay attention to these things and to prepare accordingly. Prepare as best as you can. That's all you can do. The time to prepare for a storm is before the storm. The time to prepare for a season is before the season. See, the problem is a lot of people want to wait till the season gets there or the storm happens, and then they want to try to do something about it in the midst of the storm while the season has already started. Why prepare for winter when winter comes? You gather all of your wood, all of your lighter fluid, or your whatever you're going to need, all of your dry leaves or your twigs. Gather all of that stuff in the spring, summer, and fall. Don't wait till winter gets here to prepare for winter. So in the case of something like this, don't wait for disaster to strike before you prepare. So again, they are talking about the possibility of infrastructure being interrupted. Right? They said that these solar flares and storms could potentially disrupt communications, damage power infrastructure, and affect satellite operations on Earth. Prepare for the storm before the storm. Prepare for the season before the season. I'm done, family. Keep your eyes open. Keep your ears on tilt. And get ready. I'm out. We hope you liked today's topic. Please leave your comments below. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, share it like this video, and with that, we're out. Be sure to ring the bell to be notified of new uploads on this channel, and also comment, share, like, and subscribe.